everyone.
Good morning.
Well, my message this morning is titled, Finding Your People. And when I think about these few words, it brought a couple things to my mind. One was I wanted to share the feeling I had the first time I went into a Unity church. And some of you know this story, but I'm condensing it down quite a bit. But I had this friend, this dear friend, Verlene, who kept telling me I needed to come to her church. And she told me this over and over again for 10 years. Yeah. She never gave up. She kept saying, you need to come to this church. And I said, I don't want to go to church. I'm not really a church-going person. And she said, it's more than that. It's a spiritual experience. You'll really like it. So, I just kept saying, well, I'm not coming. I'm just not a church person. Until one day, I had this opportunity to get this salon. And that was my salon in Salon Magazine. And it's kind of dark. I noticed that after I put it up there. But it was a lot brighter than that and more grays and blues. So I don't know why. Over the years, I guess the photo has deteriorated. But anyway, I won an award. A couple awards. But they ended up putting me in Salon Magazine in my business. But at the time, when I went to look at this salon, I had no money. Zero. But this one client of mine said, you need to come and look at this because we really think you'd be great for it and all that kind of stuff. So I looked at it, I was like, come out there, and I leave the parking lot and I go down the street and I pull over and I'm like, okay, God, you got to make this happen for me. And if you make it happen for me, I'll go to Verlene's church. So I came up with this ridiculous idea to pay payments to these guys and buy everything in there eventually and pay rent eventually. I wasn't going to pay it first because I had no money. But anyway, they ended up taking the deal. So the first Sunday after they took the deal, I went to Verlene's church. Now the funny part was, I didn't know what the name of the church was. I had to call her and say, Verlene, I'm coming to church. And she's like, what? 10 years I've been telling you to come to church. No. But I found out it was a Unity church. So that first Sunday I walked in there and I sat down. I knew this is where I needed to be. I said, I found my people. This is what I needed to hear. And from then on, I went to church every Sunday. And I so enjoyed it. I mean, it was like singing to my soul. And so God did give me that deal, and so I had to make good on my deal. The other thing is that we hope that everybody that comes in these doors feels the same way, that they have found their people, that they have found a place that resonates to them. And I think all of you probably feel that way and have felt the love and felt the family. And I said this, our hope is that everyone comes through these doors feels the same way, that they have found their people. And so it's important for us to think about this and really kind of look at it from another perspective or other perspectives so that we know what we're inviting people to come and see and be a part of. The other thing that made me think about this talk was my bracelet, which is called a Humanity bracelet. And there's 14 words on here, and I wore it every day forever. I don't wear it every day anymore because I lost one, although nothing's lost in Divine Mind. And I got another one, but then I found the one, of course, that I had lost. So now I have two. I should wear it every day because I have the backup, Anyway, it's called a Harmony bracelet, and what it has are those 14 words, and the word that stood out to me was family. And so I thought to myself, okay, well, why am I'm focusing in on that word family, because it started singing to my soul. So that's why the story of coming into Unity Church was part of it. But it really did speak to me. And it comes with this little booklet that Words to Live By, it's called. And each word is defined, and it's got like a little description and stuff. So it starts with this. The institution of the family has always been one of the great strengths of society. And it goes on with this. But it has never been without its challenges, from war, disease, economic hardship, divorce, even death, to outside plunderers who have taken land, homes, possessions, children, and spouses. Even nations have been put into bondage. Yet the concept of family survives. Isn't that true?
That's true.
And then it says, because not all of us have had the benefit of the nurturing, growth, and love a caring family can provide. Many individuals have had less traditional starts in life and have found nurturing love and growth in often difficult situations, including orphanages and single-parent homes, foster care, proving that the concept of family should never be narrowly defined. And those of us who have family around us should count our blessings. What we too often forget, but should always remember, is that we are all one family of man. I jumped ahead. Don't ask me. Yeah, this is it. One family of man. We are all born out of the legacy of thousands of generations. If we choose to find that legacy within ourselves, we can find the great strength of strong leaders, the dreamers, and the ones who inspire greatness in others. These are all the gifts we can give our families and the world. Isn't that beautiful? And it's very true and very strong. And you know, family dynamics are an interesting thing because Reverend Warren and I even grew up in different families with different perspectives, different rules, different, teachings, different religions. You know, Warren was blessed to grow up in unity, and I was blessed kind of going to a Catholic church and then finding that wasn't singing to my soul, which led me on this new path, which is a good thing. But you see, sometimes we hone in on what we think family should be rather than accepting what we experienced as family. Isn't that true? Yes. We think that family's supposed to be this picture-perfect little thing that is just, made like a fairy tale or whatever. But we can look at it beyond that and see our family and pull out the good that's there. It's our opportunity and our choice. And I know some people that have lived through abuse or neglect or have had maybe not the kindest people to call family might not feel that same way. They might feel like that has made them who they are, and they still hold on to that bitterness or anger or whatever it is. But we all know that's not going to serve us well. That is not going to take us to the place we want to be. And sometimes they might even blame themselves and find fault within themselves, or that guilt and shame is so heavy that we just find ourselves not being able to trust or love or even embrace true family. Because family is not just what we think it is. But trust me on this, we have lived through the best and worst of times. All of us have, no matter what has happened. And we are still functioning human beings, and I use a capital B on beings because that means from our spiritual aspect, ever growing on a spiritual plane. Our thoughts and words shape our reality. Therefore, we choose what to focus on and how to use our stories for good. And that's what we need to hone in on. Not the fact that we think our family wasn't perfect or that so-and-so was the dirty dog that did this forever or whatever. No, we have to go beyond that and say, focus in on the truth, that there was good in the things or that it helped you find good in other ways, but it took us to a new place where all is for us to embrace. And we get to write the script. We can make it a horror story or we can make it a fairy tale. It depends on us, And I'd much rather pull out the good stuff that happened in my childhood and make it a fairy tale than to focus in on the horrible things. We work forever to cross out error thinking, to cross out anything that's some act of somebody doing something evil, which we know is not of God. So why not just keep crossing those out and not focus in on that and focus in on what was good, what was brought to you to the table that you picked up and carried with you forth into your life and improved your life because of it. That's huge. The lesson that we learn is okay. Now, some people think we choose our families when we come to this earthly plane. And I think that's cool. I think that's good. Although people that have, plopped down in families that were abusive or neglectful might not have that same thought process. They might think, I don't think I would have chosen to pick these parents that beat the what out of me. But think about this. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. And it's whatever you believe. But when you're in the oneness of God and we're all spirit, and we're thinking, oh, I'm going to come under this earth, okay? When you're up there with the oneness of God, everything's good, right? Because God is only good, right? So what we might be viewing in spirit, and I don't really like to make it such a human thing, but what we're viewing in spirit could only be viewing good. Because we're in the oneness with God, which is good. Yeah. So maybe we don't see that this person is, abusive or neglectful. We just see, hey, that might be a cool mom, or that might be a cool dad, or whatever, and we plop down wherever we land. So it's a possibility, because we could see the good from the oneness of God. Why can't we find the good in an earthly plane? You see what I'm saying? And that's what we have to do. We have to pull out that good and say, that's the kind of thing I want for my family. And if you know you don't want this, or whatever you have experienced as a child, then you know what you do want right here and now. And that's how we form our families. That's how we decide who's going to be in this circle that we call family. And that's why if you spiritually connect with someone, you know you're in the right family, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I felt the minute I walked into Unity. I said, hey, this is my family. These are the people I want to be around. These are the people that I have found in my life. And and maybe before you were born, this is the same thing I just said. I'm sorry, I didn't know how to slide. Yeah, okay. So who you are given and who you are gifted with is a perspective coming from judgment of the situation. Because we might be given these parents that we said, oh, my parents were terrible. Or we might be saying, oh, my parents were the greatest thing, And so it felt like a gift if you said that, but it felt like you were given something, like the flu, if they were neglectful or abusive or whatever. But again, we have to just stop and say, I'm not going to go from that place of judgment of the situation. I'm going to pull it back and say, what in me is a good thing that I received? What in me is the gift? And if you look at it as a gift, with every person you meet, not just your family, but anybody you meet, because I know we all have people out there that we don't like, and some people use the H word. You know what that is. I'm not going to say it. But dislike is the synonym. And so if you've got people out there like that, then that's on you to change your perspective, to change your judgment, to say, I'm no longer going to be disliking this person. I didn't like what they did. I didn't like their behaviors, but I don't dislike the person because they are a child of God too. They just haven't evolved far enough yet or risen to their true spiritual perspective. And who are we to judge? We're not. We're not here to judge that. So we have to think about who it is that we want to pick and choose and how we want to live in order to be able to pick and choose. And that's how we get through that. Now listen, I know it can be crazy sometimes because listen, I have 9 brothers and sisters. And I'll tell you what, most of the time you wouldn't think that we ever grew up in the same house. And really, it's true, 10 kids running around and everybody's got a different story. But are there similarities? Yeah, there's similarities. But we can find that in each and every person here. We can find similarities, we can find things we can agree on because it all comes down to the idea that we are all children of God. Now, that's where we start. That is not where we land, that's where we start to build a better relationship, a relationship that resonates with us, a relationship that feels good, that makes you feel good about yourself too, because that's so important. We don't need any more bashing down or people telling us no or people piling on the guilt or shame, because we have to make choices in our life that are going to be healthy for us. And choosing our family and who we hang out with is part of those choices that's going to benefit us. And we all want to live in a healthy environment, don't we?
Absolutely.
But family is more than the people we grew up with. Can we create the family of our dreams?
Yes.
Yes, we can. And what does that look like? Well, that's up to you, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's a question you should ask yourself. That's a question you should take within and say, okay, what do I want in my family? Do I want this? Do I want somebody that never respects me? Do I want somebody that sits there who tries to belittle me or critique me all day long? Or do I want somebody that's going to say, man, you look great today. I love that. I love that hair. I love that dress. I just want to have a conversation with you. That's what we want, isn't it? We want to be validated and respected and loved. And all that comes freely and unlimited abundance if we allow it to come. We get in that human self and we start thinking, oh God, I got to put up with this stuff no matter what. Or, we start, I got to do that. I don't care. I don't want to, but I'm going to do it. No, you're not going to. Why put misery in yourself or put yourself in a miserable spot? No is an okay answer. Tell yourself that. Let's say it out loud. No is an okay answer. Because you don't have to agree to do things that, why? Why do we want that? And family can be anyone you feel connected with. See, that's cool. It can be anybody. I love calling everybody my family. Because I'll tell you what, at this stage of my life, I am not going to have family in my circle that I don't feel good about, or that's not going to help me feel better or grow. I can say I love somebody and behold the Christ in them, but I don't have to go to lunch with them every day. And we get to choose who we do that with. We get to choose who we hang out with. And if we're in an environment where there's a bunch of people, and some of them are those people that we maybe have chosen not to include in everything, we can still just keep sending love and beholding the Christ in them, because we know that's going to help us release, let go, and love. Yeah, it's cool. And it's our rebirth. That's what we talked about all through Lent. In rebirth, our love goes through a transformation which broadens and strengthens and deepens it. We no longer confine love to family, friends, and personal relations, but expand it to include all things. I know in my circle of family, my dad was, very, he was a military guy and very adamant about the fact that the only family you have is this family in this house. Nobody else is your family. I was like, I don't really get that concept, Dad, I felt like everybody was my family. Even a little kid, I remember, I'd go to school. Everybody there was my family, and I loved everybody, and it was like cool. But my dad would come back with that, and it's like, you could feel it closing in around you, but you also have to know, hey, and I guess because I think I was really a spiritual kid too, that I didn't let it close me in. I still went, when he wasn't around, I was free, and that's what we have to do. We have to allow ourselves to be in that situation, or else we start feeling not good. And if you've been in a Unity church, we're all about transformation. We're all about transforming your thoughts to bring forth that highest good, which is, who wants good? I hope everybody got both hands up, really. Because that's what we want in our life. We don't want anything that's not good. I mean, I'm not going to take the hammer and hit my hand. Oh, yeah, that's great fun. No, I want the good things. I want to be in that state of mind. And when you focus in and hone in on taking and receiving that good, you experience so much more. And I've seen this with everybody here. I mean, I've seen you all grow spiritually. And I've seen you all receive spiritually. And I know that you are here to continue that with me, because that's what I'm trying to do every day. I'm trying to live by the principles and the truth that I know that God wants us to live by. And I see that in all of you. And because of that, the denial of human relations, meaning, it might look like you're saying, oh, get rid of your family. That's not what I'm saying. But the denial of human relationships seem at first glance to be a negation of the family group. It's not that at all. But it is merely a cleansing of the mind from limited ideas of love, when this faculty would satisfy itself solely by means of human kinship. Meaning your faculty of the mind and the faculty of the power of love. So we've been taught that we have to be subservient almost to the idea of hearing somebody say to us, I love you. And that is limiting who we are and making our family more like my dad said, your family's right here in this house. No, we don't want to have that kind of limited thinking. We want to know that it is beyond kinship. It is beyond what we are experiencing. That we can have that love all the time. And we don't have to go and beg for it. We don't have to pay for it. We don't have to lay down and let somebody kick us around to have it. No, we can rise up and feel the love of God within us and share that love, and that love's going to come back to us tenfold. I guarantee. I guarantee. And it's a simple process. It's not anything difficult. It means all we have to do is create our own family, and it is our birthright to see beyond kinship and know the unlimited love that awaits us. That's what's so great about family, about this family, Unity Family, about the families that we create, the pockets of family we create. Everybody has these special people in their lives. You know, I tell you about my BFF in Wichita. I mean, she's more a sister to me than any of my sisters were. And we created this family between us. And are we involved with each other every day? No. Do we see each other all the time? No, especially since I moved here. But we know that if I call her, she calls me, we're there. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that's what you want. You want the love that is naturally flowing, that's reciprocating back and forth in and through you and in and through the other person. And when you have that, it's a marvelous thing, isn't it? And it feels so good. And you feel so comfortable. And that's where we want to go. Now, we don't have to allow shame or guilt or the idea of separation from our birth family or whatever. It's not that at all. Because you know that you're going to still send love. You know that you're still going to share in that experience. But you can let go of anything that is going to pile it on you. Anything that is going to bring forth that guilt or shame. And I know, you know, we get together with people and then we say, oh, that person just grates on my nerves. What do we need to do? We need to stop, send love, behold the Christ in them, and say, however they're grating, it has no effect on me, and take back the power. It's all about keeping that power, right?
Right.
Right. And it's all about what we choose. We don't have to let them grate on our nerves. You know, we can be like smooth and just let it run off and not even like look at it like, oh, I'm watching a movie again. This is psycho going on here, but I'm just watching a movie. Yeah, I'm not involved. And when we do that, it's so much better. We don't have to tether our feelings to whatever the abuse or neglect or crazy, cray-cray, I call it, going on. And man, it's a good thing. Fillmore wrote this in the book Christian Healing, and it's really powerful. If God is the Father of all, then men and women are brothers and sisters in a universal family. And he who sees spiritually should open his heart and cultivate that inclusive love which God has given as the unifying element in the human family. Isn't that beautiful? How powerful life could be if we were always sharing that love. How powerful life could be if we could see beyond what we have been taught as family. How powerful life would be if we see a bigger picture, and that the opportunity for each person we meet out there is a person that might be the perfect addition to our family, our spiritual family, to the oneness that we are creating. And what a cool thing that is if we open up our minds to that. Because love is for all people and creatures and, you know, animals and everything. If we got love flowing freely, what is it? More love. More love coming back to us. He continues with this. Excuse me. Just to the extent that we separate ourselves into families, cliques, or religious factions, we put away God's love. We start chunking up the idea of one family. We were one with God before we ever came here. But we come to earth and we start dividing up who everybody is. And then we start labeling. And we start judging. And then we start separating more and more and more. And that's what happens. And that's what causes the chaos out there in the world. It's because everybody's trying to put this wrapper around each section instead of just saying, hey, let's go with love. It goes on with, unless there is a specific denial along every line of human thought bondage, because that's what you're doing when you start clumping together. You're putting bondage on yourself and everybody else. one will still be under the law of sense. And he means sense consciousness, meaning it's all about this human experience, nothing spiritual. So what are you doing? You're narrowing down your world to being in this little circle that is not, well, I like to say, user-friendly, because you've limited yourself, because you've allowed all that to take over. And who wants that? Not that. We want to deny any and all thoughts of separation, no matter what they do or what they say. We don't want to say, oh, that religion is blah, blah, blah. Or I was just looking at the kids, sorry. And we definitely don't want to use the H word, do we? The rest of you know what that means. It's a synonym for what? Dislike? Yeah, we don't want to do that because we start bundling them people up then. We start bundling them up. We want to release that bondage from ourselves and we want to move forward. He continues more with this. Direct affirmation of spiritual unity based upon respect, this is the big one, should be made by everyone who desires to realize this true realization. Respect is probably right in there as a catalyst for love. Because if you can't respect somebody, there's no way you're going to love them. And if you sit there and piled on all the stuff that you dislike about somebody, then you're not going to be respecting them, are you? But if you can see them as a child of God, no matter what, and you can focus in on the fact that they are coming from the Christ within them, whatever that looks like, maybe the Christ within for them is like down here still kind of wallowing around with the mud, but they're trying, and you're up here going, okay, I can behold the Christ in them, I can love them, and I can know that they are trying to rise up, that they're trying to rise up. It's a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing. Anyway, that's where respect evolves from. That's where it comes from. And that's where we have to go. We have to deny anything that's in our way. We have to affirm the truth, and then we move forward. And that energy will shift. It shifts everything. And I'm telling you, you'll feel it, and you'll know it. And that energy can come in an instant, or it could come over the next week. Who knows? But once you start doing the work, you'll feel that energy shift within yourself. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be scared of it. Don't deny the change that's coming, because it's going to be for what? Good. Yeah. Jesus said this, and this is a great quote for all of us. Who is my mother and who are my brothers? And then he stretched out his hands and he said, behold my mother and my brothers. For whoever shall do the will of my Father who is in heaven, he is my brother and sister and mother. All of you are my brother, sister, and mother, brother, father, whatever. Because you guys are trying and doing the will of God. And if you're working on that path, if you're working on that spiritual path, then we are all related. It's a beautiful quote. It's a beautiful thing. And I love it. Anyway, finding your people is about finding yourself, your higher self. And that's the true gift at the end of the story, is the fact that you find your true self and you feel good about that true self because you no longer are allowing all the other garbage to get in your way. You're opening up to who you truly are. And don't you want that in your lives?
Yes.
Yes, please say yes. Each and every Sunday we end with the song, We Are Family, because we hope you, all of you, have found your people. Thank you for being here today.